Hey guys, welcome back to the Rose Corner YouTube channel. Welcome back to another conversation talk. Remember to like, share, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the Rose Corner if you haven't as yet. Enjoy. Right, so we are going to be looking at the latest poll results that was done, the GLP and the PNP. And you know what really had me puzzled after I was looking at the numbers is that it says that the opposition leader in all areas is outperforming the prime minister. But I don't think it's all that true. You know, I don't think the poll speaks to the wider majority of the electorate in this country. And a lot of persons would have the quite of an opposite view of the opposition leader, Mr. Mark Golding. The favorability numbers swing heavily in the favor of Mark Golding. And one may ask yourself the question, how? In such a short space of time, how is it that Mark Golding favorability has become larger now than some would say, the attractive charisma of the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness? And persons would say, and I would agree, that the charisma that Andrew Holness has, Mark Golding doesn't have it. So where has his favorability come from all of a sudden? It is questionable. It is questionable. And so we're going to look into it right now. All right, so we're going to get into the conversation here. All right, so as stated, the recent poll results between the Jamaica Labour Party and the People's National Party. And it is also taken out of the poll numbers that if an election was to be called today, the PNP would win. I guess we'll have to do a poll on that and ask the people how many persons really believe that. But what's also is striking, you know, the recent poll findings also show that 36% of respondents said that the JLP is doing a poor job at governance. I hope the people here are really listening to this. 36% of the people that was posted, the JLP is doing a poor job at governance. And I wonder to myself, those 36% of people, did they watch the last budget presentation? I have to ask myself the question, where are these people? I wonder if this poll was taken at the PNP head office in Kingston, because it must be only PNP supporters this poll was done for. When you look at the performance of this government, no, let us talk truth. You know, across the country in so many different areas, or can you say that there's been poor performance? It is ridiculous. But before we continue, you have anything to say on this finding, this 36%, Mr. Robinson?
Well, put it this way, as I listened to a lot of pundits on this poll finding, one, we have to establish that this was a PNP commission poll.
That's what I was going to get to, yes.
So right. When it's a PNP commission poll, the numbers are going to tend to trend in a certain direction.
That's right.
And let us be honest, one could say the flip side of that, if it was a JLP commission poll, would the numbers say Andrew is doing a damn good job, for a better word? So one could look at
I like when the RGR or the Gleaner commission these polls, because it is more independent. Some would say, well, would you agree to that? That the parties commissioning these polls. Well, what do you prefer? I prefer the RGR and the Gleaner to do the polls, not the party themselves.
Well, put it this way, nothing is wrong when an entity like the Gleaner and RGR, a reputable entity like these two giant,
nationwide, you know?
yes, in our nationwide, it is good. But also, we have to bear in mind that both parties need to have a poll done for themselves to see where they are in the game of politics. So in essence, to have a level playing field at certain time of the year, both parties really require to do a poll and to see where their standings are. But also, if an entity like RG or the Glean or Nationwide, the Blue Dot poll, or any entity, or even if an independent group, Cafe or JFJ, any one of those entity want to do a poll, they can have it done and then we can look at the numbers. I want to put this in a mix. I remember, I think a year ago or 2 years ago, if I'm not mistakenly, I'm stand corrected, I think NCU, National Caribbean University, did a poll recently, and there was some outcry saying that they are new on the block. How can we believe their polls? But when persons do polls, Chris, people make up their mind what they want to believe or not,
That is
But
true.
tell you what, if you're just coming into the game and you do a poll, people are going to be very skeptical of you. But I would love for NCU to do another poll and not back down of those naysayers when they had their first poll out. I would love for them to do a poll now and to see the standing in the country. But I take it as it is. I welcome all these entities to do a poll and let us see the numbers at the end of the day.
Okay, well said. After I analyzed the poll numbers recently, there's only one question that came to my mind after seeing the numbers. And I asked myself the question, is the PNP trying to build back a comeback from the dead yard? Because the consensus is that the PNP has been dead since 2017 from Portia left it. And so are they trying to use this poll to push the party leader into a direction to convince persons that he is favorable enough for them to go and vote on election day for him and his party? Because the truth is there's a strategy behind this poll, right out of the budget presentation. It was so laid out by the government, and then this poll came after. So it is very questionable. Why now at this time? I remember that their annual conference is coming up in September. So we all know that there's a strategy, but they're trying to make a comeback. What is your say?
Well,
do you think it's a comeback from the dead yard?
When
they rise from the dead again with Mark Golin?
When you phrase it like that, a comeback from the political graveyard, persons in the People's National Party would say, if we are going to come back from the dead, they would have to knock on the grave of not only Norman Washington Manley, but Michael Manley as well. That would be a comeback, one would say. And when you have a man like Michael Manley, the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, then with the charisma that he had, and person spoke so eloquently about him, then one would say, yes, there would be a comeback. But to the meat of the matter, coming back from the graveyard, it's a wake-up call. Let us not beat around the bush. Whether we like the numbers or not, numbers do not lie. They go up and they come down. And at the state that it is now, I would say it's damn looking good for the PNP because they have to build their base and give the base the encouragement to say, hear what? We are back in this thing, We are not out. But the real test is going to be when that election is called. That is when you know what the real test is. Yeah. And after that test, whatever the result is, then we know that famous say by KD Knight, pack your bags and go.
Well, I don't think Andrew is going anywhere for any time now. Hold it. So let's just look
Somebody will
at
have
some
to
poll
pack their
numbers.
bags.
Let's look at some poll numbers. Let's just look at some poll
Yes.
numbers here. All right, so we're going to look at the one here that says statistical dead heat.
Yes.
April 2024 national poll. Mark Bolin closes favorability gap. Andrew Holness negatively rating rises significantly. That's according to this latest poll. Positive rating, Prime Minister Andrew is at 40%. Mark Bolin at 37%. Negative rating, 18% for Mark Bolin, 31% for Andrew Holness. I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think Mark Bolin positive rating is that close to Andrew Holness. I don't think it's at 37%. I would think it's more in the 20s. I don't think, you know, I'm not really getting that on the ground to say that Mark Bolin has a sort of positive rating amongst the public. You know, I'm not getting that. The negative rating, I don't think Andrew is at 31. I think it's more in the teens. You know, what is your take on that?
Put it this way, Chris. Remember now that this poll is a PNP commission poll.
Right.
So the numbers have to fit. And
what the PNP is paying for.
Yeah, the numbers have to fit as the late were passed away recently, that the world was talking about. I can't remember his name, the NFL player. When he win that dramatic case, the famous thing was that if the glove don't fit, I quit O.J. Simpson.
Right.
So I'm saying that to say that the numbers have to fit the PNP people, because if a number doesn't fit, then the party is not going anywhere. And to say Mark Bolin is 37% positive, which is just
ridiculous.
So
ridiculous.
But I put it this way: one would have to say, when this poll was commissioned, I would know Don Anderson as a reputation, a good reputation.
Yeah,
give credit
that
where
is
credit
true.
due.
That is true.
He has done this for many years.
He has predicted the last 5 elections. Yeah.
Yes,
and he got them right. Yeah.
And I remember that
because when he said that Bruce was going to win, nobody believed him.
That is it. And remember that he predicted everything throughout the 90s, and nobody didn't have any issue with him. So we have to give credit where credit due. But the thing about it is that now with Mark Bolin at 37%, he's getting a bump here. But the thing about it, that could be just for the base of the party, and not
base, and not the general public.
Because remember that we still have persons out there who love the PNP party, but still do not want Mark Bolin to be at the head of the party. And let us put that
just like the situation with Peter Phillips.
That is it. So you still have a core of Jamaican people out there who say, what, we're not leaving my PNP party, you know, but I need a different leader. Well, for Andrew, here, 40%. I would want to take that as a reality. And you know the reason why I would take that for a reality for the 40%, because the party has been slipping slightly. And so the numbers could relate at 40%. But to be 31% negative, that's a stretch.
Yeah, that is far off the reality.
That is a stretch. That is a stretch there.
Yeah.
A stretch. I mean, but put it this way, you know, Jamaicans, we always have a season for everything, you know.
Yeah.
So if it's a negative season for Andrew, well, it's just a negative season. If it's a positive season for Marky G, as I'm referring to him, it's a positive season. But time will tell, because September is around the corner.
Let's just look at the PMP. It says here PMP extend leads in voting intentions. This one now speaks about the party preferences, right? Which party the people, according to the poll, people are leaning towards the most to vote for. It says here, September 2023, JP was at 26.1, PMP at 29.5, and April 2024, The JLP is at 29%, PNP is at 36.8%. Even though the poll showed that it's a slight increase from 2023 for the JLP, I still don't, even though I know that it's a PNP Commission poll, but these numbers are hard to believe that the PNP party is outperforming the JLP on the ground and is at 36.8%. If it was at I don't know.
What did you say?
I think I want to skip this one, you know. I want to skip this one.
But
the JLP is slowly making some improvement on the ground because it's at 29% now.
Yeah, but let us look at the numbers, because the numbers do not lie. And the fact of the matter is this, Chris. When you have 26.1% last year and then 29%, it can speak of several things, you know. Persons get lazy, don't care, you know,
lack of interest, lack of focus. Yeah.
Yes, and they're spending so much time in terms of getting things right, and not focus on the needs of the people on the ground. And hence why famous Cliff Hughes always said by Carl Stone that when you're in government, you grow lazy.
Yeah.
And as he always said, Carl Stone says that when you're in opposition, you grow strong. That's because you have time on your hand to really do all of this checks and balance and to create the pressure. But I want to know, Chris, based on what happened on February 26th.
Yes, I'm saying probably that has boosted the PNP on the ground. Why they're not this percent?
Yes. But
I was just thinking about it, saying probably the last election we had in February is what is contributing to these numbers.
Yes, and bear in mind, there is a bump there for the PNP, and we cannot beat around the bush. Despite the GLP won the local government election by a parish, but in terms of numbers, in terms of divisions, the PNP increased their margin in terms of divisions by Pollster seat.
Yeah.
But and what that reflects is that when you look at the national scale in terms of just by parish, it will give a reflection of what happened under Bruce Gold in 2007 in the national election, when him just win by just margin of 2 seats. Yes, you know. So this one is going down to the wire, you know, Chris. And I must give credit to the PNP to have these numbers up, because guess what? If it's a boost for their morale on the ground with the slogan, "Time come," it is reaching.
Answer time. Let's also look at some more posts. This is one that we were speaking about earlier, about the 26%. Respondents said that the JP is doing a poor job at governance. I'm not going to go back over to that. I'm going to look at the other one here. The net favorability between the two party leaders, Mark Golding versus Andrew Holness. It says that Mark Golding is at a 19% here and Andrew is at 9%. Net favorability is a percentage of persons who view leaders favorable minus the percentage who view them unfavorable. It is a PNP Commission poll that was done by Don Anderson, but I will say less on this, and I will let you get. I am going to leave this floor to you because go ahead, Mr. Robinson.
Put it this way, Chris.
No, but let me ask you before you say that. Do you believe that Andrew is at 9%? Do you believe that? It's a yes or a no.
No, obviously not.
Obviously go ahead.
But guess what? What numbers do not lie. And the question would be asked, if you have an exam paper in front of you, what would you write on that exam paper? The numbers do not lie, but it's what you believe in your heart. You know, that's what counts. But I want to put it, look at it this way. It's a call for concern here with these numbers. And both parties have to drop their socks on this one here, because take it as it is. something is happening on the ground. Whether or not we like it or not, but there's a shift, Chris, and we do not know where the shift is going, because as you know, Jamaican people, this minute, they will with you with some curry goat and chicken, and by 12 o'clock, they've gone on the other side again.
Yeah.
So it's a tight rope. But in terms of the numbers, net favorability rating here, it's really something for us to look at. One would say, is it that people just were given their honest opinion based on a party and not just by the person themselves? Because the truth of the matter is, people will say that they will vote for the PNP, but they're not voting, so to speak, for Mark Golding, but because he's the head. Hence why they just voted for the party.
Get the bump, right?
Based on our Westminster system that
right.
you know that we continue to use from United Kingdom. It baffles us, but it's what it is. It's what it is.
Yeah. Should the PA managers be underestimated? And that's something that is very important, you know, as we look at these polls, because I'm just going to say this, that, you know, there's 200 wholeness, and I don't know if some people realize that there's 200 wholeness. Or when I say there's 200, what I mean is that you have the Jamaica House 100 wholeness, that you see him in his suit and he's doing the prime ministerial duties on a day-to-day basis. And then you have a JLP head office, Andrew Wallace. So when he's at the JLP headquarters in Kingston, he have on his green shirt and his hat. And then he go into election mode.
Yes.
Like what we saw in February. You know what I mean? He was all over. Late in the night, 3, 4 o'clock a morning, Andrew said, I'll leave some places.
In Gale St. Mary, let's point it out. 2, 3 o'clock in Gale, and let us put that. And that is Western St. Mary, the chairman, Bobby Montague constituency. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Chris, I don't mean to cut
So
you.
I don't think he should be underestimated with these polls, you know, because when he go on the ground, there's a different reception. The people really receive him well. You understand me? And so I don't think we should pay much attention to this, even though you said that these polls are important for us to pay attention, but I don't think it's necessarily important for Andrew Holness at this time. If another poll comes out in September or in November, December, leading into 2025, then that would be another poll that we have to look into more deeply. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But for now, I think Andrew Holness is doing a good job in terms of trying to navigate so many different things. You know what I mean? But I don't think we should look at these polls and say, boy, it's over for Andrew Holness, because this man can do what some people couldn't do. This man was able to retire the great Portia Simpson Miller. This man was able to retire Dr. Peter Phillips. And I do believe that before he hand the baton to somebody else, he's going to retire Mark Golding. So I have faith in Andrew Holness. What says you?
Put it this way. When you're a prime minister of a country or president, people must never underestimate that leader.
That's
because there's always something to draw from that act.
That's right.
Because you are in government and there's so much you know that persons out there do not know.
That's right.
So when you come to the table or the State of the Union, as they would say in America, or to come to make that address to the people, you're going to take out something out of that rabbit hat that surprise and amaze the people. And that is where the power comes. And I don't think people underestimate Andrew, you know. What persons are basically saying is that he needs the team to rally around him, to continue to
push
he
has a good team that is rallying around him, you know.
Yeah, he has a good team.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that
especially environmental.
Yes, but the thing about it,
always come out in his defense.
Yes, but if and let us give him credit to Everald Warmington because he's a
That's right.
damn good legislator,
Yeah.
and nobody knows his standing order like Everald Warmington.
Oh
But
my
he has
God.
his shortcomings as well. But the thing about it is that now you need that team, Rono, and that can continue to push you. Because the truth of the matter is this, some of these MPs and councillors need to pull up them socks.
That is true.
Need to pull up them socks. And people are saying on the ground, Chris, is that some of these MP needs to go back to their constituencies and continue to put in the work. Don't make it people
Don't get too
saying,
comfortable.
yes, don't let the people saying that it's because election coming now while you're coming around. Get on the ground now so you can do the work.
Well said. Could we do a prediction and ask or set the question, when could the next general election be called? After looking at these polls, Mr. Robinson, what is your prediction?
Well, put it this way. I'm not gonna put my name on the block with this one, because
You're going to wait a couple more months before.
Definitely, because with the Westminster system, the PM can call an election at any given time. As recently we see in the UK, where Rishi Sunak called the local, and there was some.
I hear them say it's going to lose a lot of local seats.
Yes, and
party's going to lose a lot of seats.
Yeah, a lot of things happening in the UK. So I'm not going to put my head on the line for when the next election is going to call. But what I would say is that after the conference this year, September and November for the GLP, September for the PNP, come early February, there's going to be a change on the ground, because by constitution, it's scheduled September 3rd, 2025. So by constitution, it's have to be called by now on September next year.
Right.
And so what would happen is that, Chris, come January 2025, there's not going to be any sitting down. Every single parish, MP, council
will be on the ground.
Will be on the ground. And
right.
trust me, Chris, for that budget, it's gonna be a really goodies in the terms of a Santa Claus. Not one bag, but there'll be 3 bags on his back. County, sorry, I made a sex.
Before we go, I just want to use a little cartoon depiction that I saw in the Gleaner the other day after the polls came out. And I said, you know, the Gleaner and the Easy, you know. So on the newspaper here on the floor says, PNP has big lead over JLP, right? And Mark Golding is sleeping after reading the news. He's sleeping so comfortable. And Andrew is up sweating and worrying in his bed. Oh my God, the Gleaner, man. Only the Gleaner can do it the best.
Trust me. Lastly, the Gleaner with these cartoons and the Observer makes good commentary here for us to really analyze, because Mark asleep like a baby. And you know what that reminds us before you shift, Chris? This reminds us about the story in the Bible when Peter was locked up in jail in Acts chapter 12.
That's right.
And he was just sleeping like a baby, like there's no tomorrow. That's what Marky J is sleeping comfortable while Andrew is fretting. But I said to you, Andrew, fret not thyself. Pray to the Almighty God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And he will grant you his peace, my brother.
Oh my God. Well said. Well said. That's a wonderful advice.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, you know, we have come to the end of our discussion today. It was a wonderful one, and a very fun one, I believe, as we look at the latest poll numbers between the PNP and the JLP, and also between the 2 party leaders, Andrew Holness and Mark Golding. What do you have to say about the polls? What is your takeaway from the numbers? And what prediction could you give? When do you believe the next general election could be called? Let us know. Leave a comment down below.